Good evening and welcome to our meeting tonight of the Fort Wayne Board of School Trustees for Fort Wayne Community Schools. Please stand and join with us in our Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Tonight with us are Steve Corona, Becky Hill, Jordan Lebmoff, and my name is Mark Giaquinta, seated with us at the up here at the dais, I guess, tonight is our superintendent, Dr. Wendy Robinson. Barb Trout is with us as well, the clerk to the board. I want to say good evening to Barb, Dr. Robinson. We begin with, whoops, I didn't get out my, sorry about that. We go right to the consent agenda tonight, which is the approval of the minutes from our meeting on June 27th, the approval of the vouchers and the payroll, and our personnel report. So these are items that that we see on a recurring basis. We give the members an opportunity to take any item out of the consent agenda if they feel the need to do that. And we also asked Dr. Robinson to take a look at the personnel report. If she'd like to comment or introduce anyone, she certainly is able to do that. So that having been said, may we have a motion and a second, and then we'll...
So moved.
Second.
Okay, Dr. Robinson, any
Yes, sir. I have two introductions.
Okay.
We were very pleased that we had all of our administrators chosen early, and as always, as is the case, people move. So we are in the process of filling vacancies, and tonight I'd like to bring two adjustments to our administrative staff to the board. The first is we had a vacancy created at Forest Park Elementary. So Steve Jones, who has been, Steve, you can stand up so people can stare at you, and I know your wife is with you. Steve has been at Price and served us well for 6 years at Price. We are pleased that he's accepted the opportunity to be at Forest Park as a principal. So we thank you for doing that. I won't bother to try to read all of that. We know you, Steve, and we appreciate you taking that. Next to Steve is Ben Hartman, who has been at Price as the assistant principal working with Steve. And as we move Steve, Get and I decided that it is in the best interest this late in the school year, and because of his talent, we're asking and did ask Ben Hartman to take over as the principal at Price Elementary. Now, we didn't put any pressure on him because Get started teaching there, and I was the principal there, so there's no pressure on this man to perform well.
I did Real Men Read there.
Yeah, and he does Real Men Read, so, you know, it's quite a legacy. But we appreciate the fact that he has been at Price. He was the assistant principal after coming to us from another district. So we appreciate you taking that opportunity. Those are all the people who are here to be introduced.
Okay. And I do want to apologize for missing the administrator's reception. I had a law firm meeting that I had to attend because I had to give a report. But thank you, Steve and Becky, for being there on behalf of the board. All in favor of approving the consent agenda signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed? So carried. Under new business, we have several items this evening. The first one is the, let's see, hold on. Getting there, here we go. The recommendation the board approve the purchase from learning.com of licenses and professional learning for Easy Tech and Inquiry Resequencer programs. Learning.com offers online instructional systems, Easy Tech and Inquiry Resequencer, is that right? Am I saying that correctly? Resequencer, which will enable all Fort Wayne Community Schools, elementary and middle schools to integrate technology with core curriculum. These programs prepare our students for academic success and equip them with critical skills including keyboarding, word processing, digital citizenship, it's interesting, and online safety, as well as media and informational literacy skills. The purchase is a 3-year agreement. Cost is $422,320 for the licenses, payable yearly, $130,000 per year. Included in the agreement will be an opt-out clause stating that if school technology advancement funds aren't available in any of the years, then the subscription can be suspended with no payment. There's a one-time cost for professional development of 22 grand. Funding comes from a combination of Title II and School Technology and Advancement Account, STAA, and Natalie Brewer, Secondary Area Tech Coordinator Steve Armstrong are here to answer our questions. So let's have a motion and a second, then we'll open it up to any questions that we may have.
Move for approval.
Second.
Okay, Steve and Becky, thank you. I guess my question is, why do we think this is the way to go? What did we do to decide on this program, and what will it do? Is that to you? Okay.
Either Natalie or I can kind of answer that question.
Okay, I would have asked you, your name, just your
Yeah,
name wasn't down, so.
So Natalie is more informed on what the whole program entails. However, we did work with several vendors. We vetted several vendors prior to making the final decision on this particular program. And essentially, it provides our kids with an opportunity to learn keyboarding and word processing, and it supports our digital citizenship and online safety that we're required to provide for our students, and it can be incorporated in their various content areas. So, for example, social studies and science, they can do spreadsheets and charts and graphs. They'll learn how to do those in those classes along with by using this program.
Is it something we're already doing, and this is just, the program already exists, this just helps us do it better, or what? It's $500,000, I was just curious what's.
Currently, we don't have a program at the elementary, we don't have a consistent program at the elementary levels, and at the middle school level, students who take business, an introductory business course, can get some of this. But if those middle school students don't take the business course, then they have to wait until they get to high school to learn some of these skills. And these skills are necessary as part of the online assessments that our students are participating in.
I hate to say this, but is it a fancy way of saying we're teaching typing?
No.
No, okay. That's what it sounds like,
No.
so.
There's a lot more to it.
Because I have the same questions. For $500,000, what's it going to teach Sebastian and Julian with that they don't already do?
Excel sheets, creating reports
Okay.
with charts and graphs.
I wish I knew how to do that, so that's.
Well, I think there's one thing, though, about a year ago, right when Tracy got here, we started that Vision for Learning. There are very specific skills, standards for technology at every grade level. And to answer both of your questions, it's not consistent throughout the district. And so what we find is we're disadvantaging kids if we say we've adopted these standards, and then the state says what they're supposed to have in terms of digital learning, if we don't have it in a process that we can administer it all at the same time, and then because it's digital, track whether it's being used. Yeah, everybody does this, but our kids don't do well when they have to create projects or do problems or write essays on assessments. So the assessments aren't going to go away, and those are skills that they're going to have. So part of the reason is K-12 is we can't let our first graders think that the only thing you type with or communicate with is your thumb. It's just a way of being consistent to meet the standards and skills we're required to teach.
Other districts are using this product?
Yes.
There's 22,000 here. Is that for the trainers to train the teachers? It talks about professional development
Yes.
of 20.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, well, thank you for the information on that. We've got a motion and a second. All in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Aye, so carried. The next item on the agenda is a recommendation that we approve the contract amount of $317,685 for directors, principals, and quality improvement teams to engage in continuous professional learning with New York City Leadership Academy for the alignment of leadership development and student achievement. The contract is paid with the leadership grant over a 3-year period. The information we've received is that enrollment and the percentage of students receiving free or reduced lunch was used to determine eligibility for the use of funds from the leadership grant to partner with New York City Leadership Academy during this 3-year contract to support the purpose of increasing leadership capacity and student achievement from both levels, as well as principals from the following schools to participate in this learning community: Abbott, Fairfield, Northcrest, Lakeside, and Northside. In turn, directors will share their learning with principals and quality improvement teams at all 5 schools. Structure will provide teachers on quality improvement teams with the tools and strategies deemed necessary to shift practices in instructional leadership in their learning environment. Let me read that again. This structure will provide teachers on quality improvement teams with the tools and strategies deemed necessary to shift practices in instructional leadership in their learning environment. Each identified priority and/or focus school will have direct support from their central office director to build capacity to make urgent and critical changes in their schools, build positive school cultures, and I don't know what cultures, something's missing there. Increase educational effectiveness and learning for all students. Laura Kane is here.
Nope,
Or-
she's not. It's me.
Oh, it's you. Oh, well, good.
You want me to
Okay.
put it in English for you?
You know, you know how I feel about jargon.
You
There's
asked
so
me a
much jargon
question
in there.
last year. I didn't write that, but I know what it means. You asked me a question last year as we talk about, because Learning Forward's the next one, how is that getting down to the classroom? One of the things that we started with this whole professional learning is to start with whether we as cabinet members actually knew enough about how to motivate people and to get people involved in increasing their skills. This is a separate grant from the TIF grant. So Learning Forward is out of the TIF grant, that 5-year, $41 million. Remember the one we use stipends
Yep.
for? So the impact of that was just basically stipends for teachers, but it was aimed at administrators.
Right.
This leadership grant is very specifically, and we went after it, so that we can connect all the work we've been doing with Learning Forward and actually have teacher leaders understand the connection between leadership at the cabinet level and directors, what is their role as leaders in the schools. So if you see, we have paired 5 directors, because we have 3 elementary and 2 secondary, and 5 schools. We chose the New York Leadership Academy. We've been working with them for 15 years almost with our interns. So there's a language around mentoring, there's a language around people working together to develop school improvement plans. So we thought we should use the same people, so we're using the same language. So what this is intended to do is to have a model for how you take all of this leadership work down to the teacher level. And the ultimate goal is, whatever we're doing with our leaders, they can identify the impact it's having on teachers and identify the impact that has in the classroom. So this year we have 2 goals that we'll talk about, one of them being literacy. And the New York Leadership Academy will work with the team of 5 principals, 5 directors, and 5 sets of QITs. There could be as many as, like at Northside has 15 or 20 teachers on their QIT. And they're all working to be able to plan effectively together, to work as a team, to figure out how they're going to get the literacy goals accomplished, and then how are they going to measure whether what they did to help people get better actually had an impact on scores. So don't expect me to have an impact on scores the first year. This is a 3-year grant, and that's the ultimate goal. So that's really what this says. We're trying to connect what we've been doing with leadership, with Learning Forward, directly to the QIT leadership teams, directly to teachers, and we're using the same kind of language about professional learning communities and leadership. Now we're having teacher leaders at QIT be responsible too.
In each of the 3 years, will there be different schools selected?
We have thought about that. And probably that will happen with the first 5 schools being like mentors and helps of the next, because if you kind of do it, that could get us up to 15 schools through that process. So that, Steve, is one of the goals we're talking about with them, is you keep expanding the number of schools you work with.
So then, at the end of the 3-year period, you've got a critical mass of 15 schools and teams and sort of, I mean, do you hope that it
Trainer of
becomes then a
trainers.
turnkey project that they then become our internal trainers for the remainder of our school buildings?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Leadership around school improvement planning to impact student achievement.
And these were chosen from, because of the students receiving free and reduced lunch. So
Because
you
of the
looked at
free and
whole-
reduced rate for the schools, because the leadership grant specifically, they give you all kind of parameters around which populations they want you to work with, but then they also give you parameters around what they want you to do. And the leadership grant and the TIF grant very specifically speak to this is what you get the grant for.
Okay.
You can't get the leadership grant and go do something else. They want you working with teams of administrators and teachers to impact the leadership grant, to impact students.
Okay.
So it's the next version and the next level of the work we've been working with Learning Forward, which is the next project. And here's why we went after the leadership grant. We only have 1 more year with TIF, and most of the TIF is tied up in stipends for teachers. So the reason we're working with the people we are with the Learning Forward work is when that runs out, we have the same cadre to help administrators. This starts having us have a cadre of teachers that can help us expand, because we won't have enough money to do all 53 schools.
Okay,
Do we need a motion?
yeah, I think we need a motion and a second.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor signify by saying aye.
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 So carried. The next item is Learning Forward, $347,500 to support the continuation of professional learning. Of course, this isn't really professional learning. This is designed at the cabinet level to create awareness among cabinet members of the importance of learning circles, and then they're supposed to take that down to the teacher level. Our partnership with Learning Forward continues to thrive. Learning Forward will continue to work with cabinet administrators and coaches. They're really not. That's not true. I don't know why that's in there, but anyway. In comprehensive professional learning communities, district-level leaders of learning, curriculum leadership team, coaching for results, $177,000. So if this is the coaching element of this, then we are now including coaches. This is going to expand, or that we're going to spend money this year to get the coaches involved.
We always have.
No, we have not.
We've taken these separately.
That was, okay, well, if we
We've
always
taken these
have, that's
separately.
not what we were told when we
No.
had the work.
I only gave you the one board rec specifically. We put them together, all 3, on purpose this time.
Okay,
In the past, we've taken them one at a time. And the example I gave you was for the one, which was the cabinet one. So the first one, district-level administrators, is more than cabinet. It was all of those people who were sitting in the cafeteria. The curriculum leadership team are the directors that report to Tracy, special ed, curriculum, all of the academic. The coaches are the special ed coaches, the ELL coaches, the academic coaches, the school-based coaches. And all, for the last 2 years specifically, we have had all 3 of these. I put them all together so that there wasn't confusion that we didn't have 3 different pieces. But prior to that, they were brought separately.
when we had the work session, I specifically came with a lot of questions for the Learning Forward people about the coaches, because I couldn't understand why. I had always thought that our Learning Forward, the emphasis was on the coaches, because we're talking about, the learning circles, and I was surprised to find out that day that the individuals who were directly involved with Learning Forward were at the cabinet level. So I don't know how I got it so wrong, but I guess I did. So you're saying that from the beginning with Learning Forward, they have been working directly with coaches?
No.
And not just the cabinet members? Because
Well-
I really was disappointed that we weren't getting this money down, into the school level. In fact, I asked Fred that day, I said, in fact, I gave all the articles I had read in preparation for that meeting to Julie, but I was surprised at how very, very little research there is so far on the effectiveness of, the best method, the best practice for determining whether or not coaching is, having the desired impact. And you and I have talked about the uniformity problem with coaches. Different districts have different ideas of what a coach should do and so on and so forth. But, so I think this is great that part of the Learning Forward contract is being broken down into coaching for results, unless that's just who is the recipient of that money, though? Is it still up at the cabinet level, and then they take what they learn about coaches and work with the coaches, or are the actual academic coaches involved in the program? That's
Okay.
where I
Okay,
think.
let me kind of help you. The very
Yeah,
first
thanks.
year, it was only cabinet. Because one of the things that we have learned over 15 years is you don't jump out and include everybody until you have a roadmap of where you're going. Followed very quickly after that cabinet, even the first year, we added school-based people and some people, for example, like Natalie, to become involved in academies to learn how their work would impact ultimately students. So it was the cabinet, it was all those people in the cafeteria that day, that very large group. So when you look at that first line mark, that's that whole group of all those people that were in the cafeteria. The second year, and most of this happened because we hired Tracy. She wasn't here the first year. And we had someone who was in charge of academics. So we included then the curriculum team because we had a curriculum director. So that wasn't the very first year. That happened when Tracy came. And it was all of the people who are a part of leading the academics, including, at that time, the directors, Get was one, who helped work in the schools. That same year, we started working with coaches who are at the district level and at the school level. And then the next year, we added the special ed coaches and the ELL coaches because we learned enough to know there shouldn't be different language for all different coaches. So this has been a progressive adding of people the more we learned. I brought it as 3 distinct because they are 3 distinct curriculums. They did not all start at the same time. But it's expanded.
Yeah, and I'm glad you did that.
It's
I think
expanded.
that's very helpful. But what I was trying to say is, does the coaching for results curriculum, is that imparted to the cabinet level people, or is it specifically and exclusively used
coaches?
for coaches? What I'm hearing you say is, no, this is their cafeteria, but the people who are in the cafeteria are still pretty much the same people.
There were no coaches in the cafeteria. These are 3 distinct curriculums. I'm
Right.
not a part
Right.
of the curriculum leadership team. I'm not a coach. Charles doesn't go to the coaching meetings. Okay, so
Right.
these are 3 distinct, and if you notice, it's trying to cascade
Right.
down to make sure that we have
Maybe a
enough.
better way to ask is, what percentage of our district coaches go
Mm-hmm.
to the coaches for results
All of
curriculum?
them.
All of them?
All of them.
Okay, good.
School
good,
level,
Perfect.
curriculum, special ed,
That's what I wanted to
ELL,
hear. That-
all of them,
Great, great.
okay?
Yep, that's really good.
And part of the reason we didn't start it till like the 2nd or 3rd year is we had to figure out in the first curriculum what kind of structure you put together. Because if we have all these coaches and they're not following a curriculum we can measure to see if it's having an impact, that's also why we should have had the leadership grant after this one. Because then we went after the leadership grant
Okay.
to very specifically pair all of it together. So the leadership grant does get down to the teacher level because the QIT is teachers.
Right, that's true.
Okay.
Good, okay,
So they're out of sequence, but they are connected.
okay. Thank you, I appreciate the explanation.
I move we approve approve
Thanks,
this
Becky.
request.
Thank you. We got a motion?
Second.
All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed? So carried. Next, it's been recommended that we approve the application for and acceptance of the NFL Foundation matching grants for 5 schools totaling $25,000. The grants are the result of the ongoing collaboration and support from Jason Baker, a former NFL player and proud 1997 Wayne High School graduate. Rest assured, the district is equally proud of Jason Baker. It's just really gratifying when someone leaves our district and comes back, participates in the community and for our students to the extent that he does. And we're so fortunate. We'd like to see more of that, but that's a wonderful thing. The grants will be used to assist with funding the football programs in the following schools: Blackhawk, Northwood, Shawnee, Snyder, and Tolles, $5,000 each. The 5 grants provide funding for helmets, shoulder pads, uniforms, and other items needed for the football programs at the middle and high schools. The grants will be matched by a donation from Parkview Sports Medicine, and that matching money can be used on any of the school's athletic programs, which is great. So, may we have a motion and a second on that?
So moved.
Thanks,
Second.
Steve. Thanks, Jordan. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
The next item is a recommendation that we approve the application.
Mark.
Yes.
Very
sure,
quick
yes.
point. It's tremendous that he gives back.
It is.
I mean, it is truly tremendous that somebody of that stature gives back to the schools that he attended and he performed at, and it shocks, because he doesn't have to.
Well,
And that's a shocker to me. He doesn't
And that
have
is
to.
true, and I love the program that we have ongoing where we're recognizing, the effort of those who graduated and do support the district. But Jason's doing a great job, and that safety program that he puts on annually is just terrific, and it helps us to keep our kids safe when they do participate, so. It's been recommended that we approve the application for and receipt of advancement from the School of Technology Advancement account, that's that STAA, in the amount of $589,000 for the 2016-17 school year. Those funds provide school systems computer technology for student instruction. We use the money to fund learning and technology plans of schools. The request of $589,660 is based on a guideline provided by the state, which comes down to $500 for each 25 students. Funds are provided in the form of a loan. The loans come at ridiculously low interest rates. It's really pretty much no interest. The last loan under the program had an interest rate of 1%. Funds would be budgeted in the debt service fund to repay the loan beginning in 2018. So I'm surprised we almost could have put this on the consent agenda. We do
Well,
it every year.
we
but
talked about
the
that.
amount changes and the interest rate.
Well, and it's because it's incurring debt and going into our debt
Yeah,
service rate, we
yeah.
kind of felt like it should be
Good point,
outside.
Kathy, and that,
Yeah.
whenever we incur debt, that's something that we, no matter what the amount, we should do it individually. You're right. It's a good point. So may I have a motion and a second for that we apply and receive the STA grant?
So moved.
Second.
Okay, thank you. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
So carried. And so that does it. We appreciate, Jordan, your coming in.
Yes, sorry, I was
to
late.
to allow us to get to a quorum. We don't have a report, but we've got some things
We will soon.
in the hopper, don't we, Dr.
We
Robinson?
have a lot of things.
So we'll be getting a hold of members to talk about some upcoming meetings, so we can address some of these things. You're in the course of a rescore on the
Yes, the frustrating thing is, we've also, I think I shared with board members, there's a concept called undetermineds. Like we have over 600 undetermineds in terms of the students that were scored. We don't have a significant number, but there's a situation that we're trying to figure out if it's happening across the state, where the state said a child didn't take the test, and we know that they did. It's not a large number, but the state's trying to grapple with the number of undetermineds. We're not the only ones with large numbers. Supposed to have scores September the 2nd. But
What's an undetermined, they just couldn't score the test?
right, there's some reason that maybe the student didn't finish the test. The new wrinkle that we're concerned about is they're saying the kids didn't take it, and we have evidence that they did. The other really awkward part that's occurring is that the rescores are happening now. And the rescore window, unfortunately, is coinciding with kids just coming to school. So the window ends almost before kids are actually in school. So we're trying to figure out how to,
Sure.
it's just awkward. Hopefully, we have rescores back by September 2nd is the date now. But that, I'll keep you informed.
Okay, well, that's great, we
Yeah.
appreciate that.
Our principals are going through line by line, because here's the other thing that the state did. The parents got notification, the schools haven't yet, so we don't have this big run that Jack gets where he can manipulate things. So a lot of what we're having to do now is based on piecemeal, so as soon as we get it, we'll try to share it.
And you do, and you always have, so we do appreciate that. So why don't we open it up to school board members for any comments they may have, and then we'll open up, close the meeting and open up the microphone for members of the public.
No additional comments this evening.
I did visit the Family and Community Center just across the street and was so impressed with the design. And those of you out there that have not seen it, drive by it. Just driving by it makes you smile because of the colors. And I just think it's a great concept, and loved the tour, and it just seems like the right thing at the right time. Really pleased about that. And hooray to Matt Schiebel. If you didn't read this in the paper, he got the Golden Pen Award talking about guns. And this is a principal who was worried about guns, and I just appreciated his beautifully written letter.
Thank you, Becky.
No comments.
I wanted to mention that I had my first meeting across the street, met with some members of the Our Foundation, and it was a terrific meeting. They are talking about the implementation of El Sistema in Fort Wayne Community Schools, and you can find it on YouTube. It's very easy to find. There are a number of 8 or 9 minute videos on El Sistema. It started with 11,000 students in the really some of the most underprivileged children in Venezuela, and it now has grown to 250,000 musicians, and there are some fabulous YouTube videos that show the Venezuelan El Sistema Orchestra in the Albert Hall and in other places. But the point is that music can be used to enhance learning. And the group we're talking to has money, and if we have the willingness and the ability to incorporate it into our curriculum, they're very, very excited about doing that. And the nice thing is, and this district always prides itself on not being so far out front that we get engaged in things that don't work, only to find out 2 or 3 years down the road that our time could have been better spent doing something else. And the Denver Public Schools have already gotten a jump start on this. They have a very dedicated El Sistema program that has required certain benchmarks, which is, they laughed at, so they said that really wasn't the method selected in Venezuela. It was, look, let's just do it, say a prayer, and it'll work, which, and it did. But just a lot of really, really interesting information about this, and you will not regret looking it up on Google and watching some of these videos. Really very interesting. So anyway, wanted to say thanks to the directors and representatives, Mr. Hissong and Faye, for being, who else was there? Tracy was there. Yeah, and Tracy was there. So thank you very much for participating and trying to make that work for us. And then finally, I'll be addressing the Downtown Rotary
Mark,
on.
Can I bounce on that very quickly?
Sure. Let me just finish real quickly. I'm almost done. I will be attending the Downtown Rotary on the 8th of August to discuss school choice. I've been invited by Wynn Moses. Julie is Our resident librarian is helping me put together some articles, and so we're going to talk a little bit about that, and I look forward to being there. And what we hope to do, the reason we're going to work hard on this and put the package together is that we want to come up with a presentation that will be rolled out at that meeting, but can be used by any member of the board to go around and address this issue with different groups. So anyway, Jordan, go ahead on El Sistema. You were wanting to comment.
Yeah, you know, I applaud Weiser Memorial Park. I'm tone deaf. Julian's grandpapa is a record producer. So this kid, you know, he plays the piano, plays the guitar, plays the violin, and grandpapa sends him a flute. So now he wants to take flute. Doesn't want to play piano anymore, doesn't want to play violin anymore, wants to play flute. So mom's 100% go, 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 because grandpapa is a record producer. And, you know, grandpapa, Mark, you remember the song Dancing in the Moonlight, Everything's Gonna Be All Right?
I always liked that song till just a couple seconds ago.
Well, that's grandpapa's song.
Oh.
So Julian's gonna play the
okay.
flute, and I don't know where he gets this from, but the kid has this ear, and I think it comes from what he learned at Weiser and what he learned from Memorial Park. So I just toss it out there that, you know, thank you, Sweetwater, for bringing in these instruments, because it's cost me $180 to loop this flute to make the things match up and whatever the hell they have to do. But, yeah, you talk about the music program. It is amazing for my youngest kid.
Well, one of the things that we're really excited about, and the reason we're talking about El Sistema is that it fits so nicely with,
Be instrumental.
what's
Be
it?
instrumental.
Yes, thank you. Be instrumental, and so we're not having to, it's a kind of a synergistic plan that would bring the wonderful effort of the Fort Wayne Community School Foundation, Tom Borney, Pam Kelly, Mr. Surak, and others, in touch with the program, the El Sistema program. So one is going to be working to provide the instruments, and the other will provide the curriculum and get the children and young adults playing. And it extends even beyond. What's really interesting about this is it's grown well beyond. It's not designed for gifted and talented musicians. It includes the disabled, the blind. It's a really, really neat program. It's a wow program. So anyway, thanks again, and Jordan, thank you for your comment. It reminds me of the experiences that we all had at Memorial Park with Donna Sivkovic and Gets over there smiling, because we'll never forget the time our 8th graders went down to Texas to compete in a national competition. And I thought, well, that's nice, that's great. The competition was actually a college jazz competition. It had a few high schools, but mostly colleges. But the room was literally standing room only, so they could all come and watch this 8th grade jazz ensemble from Fort Wayne, Indiana, and that was so we have we got a nice foundation to build upon with this. So it's great. Dr. Robinson, any comments before we adjourn for the evening?
School starts in less than 2 weeks.
It's hard to believe. Does it really? When does it
Starts the
start?
11th of August.
Oh, that's
And,
ridiculous.
administrators came back last week. All of our teachers are involved in QIT for 2 days, the 3rd and the 4th. That's next week.
Isn't that something?
So we're rolling. We're rolling.
And I think that the date has now opened. I think candidates for school board, that's opened up now. So just think, you could be up here with all of this excitement and, so anyway, yeah, never know. So anyway, thank you all for being here tonight. We're entertaining a motion now to adjourn in a second. Thanks, Steve and Becky. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. We are adjourned. If anybody cares to come to the microphone.